Hi, everybody, and welcome to Sports Wrap Online. I'm Joe Schmit, along with Tom Pelissero from 1500 ESPN. We're out at Winter Park. You covered the news conferences. I was in the locker room here on Wednesday. Let's get the headlines from the news conference.
I think Donovan McNabb, it's safe to say, is finally losing patience with the accuracy questions and the mechanics questions. He said, the whole mechanics thing is getting out of hand. He used that phrase a couple of times when he was asked about, well, what specifically do you have to do to fix the accuracy? He said, well, according to y'all, I guess I've been inaccurate my entire career. I think it's safe to say, finally, the entire idea that he's just above all the criticism is finally, he's showing his true self a little bit, which, honestly, I like. I'd rather hear that than have a guy just go, well, none of this bothers me.
Well, in the locker room, the two things there were, one, just how much different it was to come to work this week because after a win and 4 straight losses, and two, talking to some of the defense kind of feels they're on the verge of maybe being a pretty good unit. And I think they are. When you take a look, when you can rush from the outside and you can stop the run, the DBs all of a sudden start making plays. Yeah,
they're doing some positive things. When you have a pass rush on both sides, particularly when you're playing the Tampa 2, you're relying on a 4-man rush. You've got to be able to have 2 guys who can rush the passer. They have Jared Allen playing at an elite level right now. They have Brian Robinson playing at a very good level at this point. And then you see a secondary that finally, if Chris Cook can play the way he has the past couple of games, that has the potential to be a decent secondary. Now, the safety play needs to improve. They need to become more consistent. I have no idea why Tyrell Johnson continues to get snaps because there's a couple of plays every single game when he does get out there in limited action that he has a bust. It hasn't always cost him. It didn't cost him in this past game because Rob Hauser drops a pass when he's wide open up the series. Excuse me, Kevin Cobb overthrew it. There are concerns at that point, but the linebackers, you have Chad Greenway playing at a good level. E.J. Henderson, they've reduced his role. Aaron Henderson in a larger role has seemed to step up a little bit. Yeah, I think the defense is what's going to have to carry them, that in the running game, because right now the quarterback play isn't where it needs to be.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the running game in the paper today. They've compared Adrian Peterson to Jim Brown. It was done by Paul Wiggin, who actually played with Jim Brown. And the offensive linemen that I spoke with today, I think they're starting to take a lot of pride in the fact that they realize this guy is not just a great running back. He's one of the great running backs maybe of all time if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, and that's the key, is whether or not he can stay healthy. That was always the knock. That was the question. That's why he dropped to number 7 in the draft, was there was a hump on his collarbone. He'd had injury issues, but he's managed to stay healthy by and large. And when he has had issues, like when he sprained the ankle last year, he came back, I believe, the following week and played against Buffalo and had a huge game. He's a guy who you know what you're going to get from every week. He's a competitor. The offensive line played their best game. It was easily their best game on Sunday. They need more of that. And I tell you a guy who's not getting enough credit right now, John Sullivan's playing pretty well. Honestly, John Sullivan actually has stepped up. Now, he hasn't faced a lot of elite nose tackles. He's playing more of those types of fronts where he doesn't have a zero technique directly over him, and that does play to him because he's a smallish center. But he's doing a job. He's hitting his combo blocks. He's getting to the second level.
All right, and then the other thing now, Chicago Bears come up. The Bears, of course, lost on Monday Night Football. The Bears are a little bit confusing because at times Jay Cutler obviously looks like he can make plays with his feet, and he still has that great arm, but at other times he can kind of go away and have an airhead play.
Well, that's Cutler. He has an elite arm. He has elite physical tools. There's a reason that he was thought so highly of. There's a reason he was a first-round pick, and that Chicago was willing to give up what they gave to Denver for him. But, yeah, he's a guy who does take chances. He has sort of the gunslinger mentality, for lack of a better term. That does get him in trouble at times. But at the same time, if you look at that Chicago offense, it's a Mike Martz scheme. It's all designed around rhythm and timing. Its receivers have to be at specific spots. The ball's got to come out of his hand. I'm not convinced that necessarily plays to Jay Cutler's strengths, but if you have an offensive line that can't protect, nothing throws off timing like that. That's a huge issue for them, besides the fact that they have one of the worst receiving groups in the entire NFL.
Well, the interesting thing is, if you had asked me a week ago, before the Vikings won and the Bears lost, I would have said the Vikings had zero chance on Sunday Night Football against the Bears in Chicago. I think they do have a chance down there. I think if they can run the football, and I think they can, and I think if they can put pressure on Cutler, they have a chance against the Bears.
I would give them a chance, and I think that the offense has a chance to be successful in this game because that Bears front has continued to age. I don't think they're playing at the level that they have in the past, and they play about the most vanilla Tampa 2 scheme you're going to see, and what that means is 2 deep safeties designed to take away the deep ball. Well, the Vikings can't throw the deep ball anyway. They give up a ton of it. I believe they've given up more receptions and yards to tight ends than any team in the NFL. The Vikings have some pretty good tight ends. I think that if you can run the football in this game, you're going to have a shot because that offensive line against the Vikings defensive ends, that doesn't look like a good matchup for the Bears.
All right, should be fun. We will be covering it both on ESPN and on KSTP Channel 5. That's Viking Sports Wrap. That's Tom. I'm Joe. We'll see you next week.